Hey everyone, it's Raghu. I'm back with Mindrolling, and today I have the lovely opportunity to hang out with David Richo. And David has a very interesting new book. And David is a psychotherapist, teacher, writer, and does workshops and all around mindfulness and loving kindness, which is ever present on this podcast. So, David, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me, Raghu.
Maybe a little bit of background, like how you came into, well, first we should say, actually, because this will help. This is David's book. It's Sweeter Than Revenge, Overcoming Your Payback Mind. So after I got into it, I got a little bit more understanding of all the things that I am doing that are way subtle in this, under this theme. So, it's very appropriate. I always appreciate that. But how did you even get to the point where, let's start like in the most formative years, because you mention it in the book in the very beginning, about how you were just like we all were. We were indoctrinated into parental supervision and culture and school and environment, all of it. And then they became our world. So how did that all happen for you?
The message in our Italian household was always, it's important to show people that you are strong enough to deal with them by hitting back if they hit you. And I don't blame anybody for that point of view. It goes back to our cave people ancestry.
Right.
I get it. And it just seemed like there was never any talk about alternatives, such as find a way to work something out, find a way to reconcile, try to understand what's really going on both sides. I never heard anything like that. And that would be requiring a kind of consciousness that maybe people didn't have so much in the 1950s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, again, there's no blame. Yeah, it took me many years to get it, that there is another way to deal with, hurt feelings or any kind of mistreatment.
Yeah. What was that? Was there a something that was that launched you into any kind of connection and reality to, hey, I am not this. I am not these habits. I am not these neurotic tendencies and so on. Was there a demarcation point, or is this a gradual thing as you were a teenager and going into your 20s?
No, it was quite sudden and more of a grace that was given to me rather than an example of a progression that I made. It happened one day in 2014. I think it was it 2014 or I can't remember the exact year.
But not that long ago. That's 12 years ago.
It's got to be earlier than that. Probably in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was in a Buddhist temple, and I was standing alone in front of a statue of Buddha. And without planning it, I just suddenly said, looking into Buddha's face, I suddenly said in my mind, I vow never again knowingly to retaliate. And those are the exact words.
Really?
And I didn't know I was going to say that. But I decided to keep my vow, and I hope I have, although the way we retaliate is often very subtle, so who knows?
Right.
But in any case, I certainly don't do it in any gross, obvious way. The origin of the book is also something that happened rather than something that I did. I was having lunch and watching the news at the same time. And this was in October 7th, 2023. And Israel was responding to the terrible events from Hamas.
Yeah.
And straight across from me at the table was Netanyahu. And he said, "I intend to retaliate like the world has never seen."
You were live with him?
That.
You were in
the
person?
TV is right on the table.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I said to myself, oh, this is a calling to me to write something about alternatives to retaliation based on the Buddhist and Christian views. And that's the origin of the book.
Yeah. Actually,
and again, it doesn't come from blaming. It comes from like a gift from the universe and a calling. That's what this book is. It comes from a calling, and it leads me to a calling. I like to say yes to anybody who wants to interview me on the topic. And then I've also given talks at various places on this topic.
Yeah.
So this is my present contribution to the world.
Well, it's great because, as I said to you, I encountered my own very subtle ways in which I express exactly what you're speaking to in the book. And you open it up and you say it becomes, it just absolutely becomes the constant background for us. The knee-jerk thing that happens right away, And I mean, just driving. Driving's a great example of this. Everybody has this happen. And there's immediate reactivity to something done you wrong one way or the other. And you don't even think about it. It's just the go-to right away. Right?
Absolutely.
And then you talk about vendetta. It really gets into it. You say it wasn't okay. So you've been doing spiritual practices. You say Buddhist practices. I'm assuming for over 20 years, right?
Never saw the word retaliation except once in all my reading of Buddhism, Buddhist books and texts. The only one I saw was from a Chinese sutra. One act of retaliation burns down a whole forest of merit.
Okay, well, that's pretty succinct.
Well, likewise in Christianity, it's rare in the Bible that you see a prescription against retaliation. Of course, it's in the Sermon on the Mount. But sometimes you even see actual retaliation. And of course, the Bible also says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay." So it makes it seem as if retaliation is okay because God himself engages in it. And of course, speaking of God, in a personified way. And I get it that it's not to be taken literally. But anyway, I didn't find much encouragement beyond my vow moment.
And then you say,
Also, as
oh,
a therapist, a big realization is I've seen like maybe close to 1,000 clients, couples and individuals talking about relationships. And I often saw that they were partners were retaliating against each other. So said to myself, well, how could you love someone and retaliate? It's hard to see how that could happen, but I also get it that it's knee-jerk. It's not consciously engaged in necessarily. So,
and then you end this, as we shall see, this letting go of revenge turns out to be the same as letting go of the illusion of separateness, the true cause of suffering. Talk about that. That's the essence of it all in many, many different ways, right?
yeah, because separateness means competition, uh, back and forth aggression. I'm better than you are. How dare you offend my ego? So the revenge thrives on making sure that the ego asserts itself over others. That's the separateness that Buddhism helps us realize is ultimately an illusion. But it certainly doesn't feel like that when someone hurts our feelings or offends us in some way.
How about this? I read this in your book about we may refuse to return a phone call because someone did not return ours months ago. This is what I mean. When I came on that one, it's my bugaboo.
Huh.
If I'm not hearing back from you, I'm not going to call you again, ever. You know, that kind of
And
neurotic insanity.
Underneath that, not necessarily for you, but for some people, I deserve to be called back. I'm important.
Yeah.
And when you
Of course,
don't
that's
call
all
me
there.
back, you're saying I'm not important. See how much ego? I mean, retaliation is ego's favorite sport. What is ego? The assertion of our entitlement to be treated with honor, respect, and full acknowledgement by everyone. And that's just not in keeping with one of the givens of life, which is some people like us and some people don't. Some people appreciate us and some people don't. And you got to roll with those kind of punches rather than take revenge on anyone who doesn't come through positively for you.
Just amazing. This is all just so baked in from such an early age.
Yes.
It's a lifetime of unraveling. That's really what spiritual path is about, as far as I'm concerned. And Ram Dass, who he had somebody from his old teaching days at Harvard. He had an old friend, but then he went to India, became Ram Dass and a spiritual teacher and all that. And the guy says to him, "You know, Dick, you pretty much got all the same neurotic bullshit that you had back then." And Ram Dass said, "Yep, but they've become little schmoos. From big schmoos to little schmoos." It's a famous, funny thing that he said. But yeah, no, that's obviously a purview
Don't go away
that's
permanently.
Yeah, no.
Even the Dalai Lama says he goes into sudden anger.
Yeah, right.
And he hasn't been able to remove that from his personality.
Yeah.
No matter how much he meditates. So that gives us some hope. But he also said, I never retaliate, and I don't even think of retaliating.
Yeah, which is,
The second one's going to be hard to do.
yeah, but he has done it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I saw it I mean, we're talking about somebody who, I mean, obviously has tremendous grace, and we should talk about that in a moment. But, and Ram Dass had that as well, that I saw that by the end of his life, he truly was completely present with everybody. He really fulfilled what came from our guru. Love everyone and tell the truth, which is not a very easy thing to do. His first comment when he was told that in India all those years ago was, the truth is I don't love everybody. And then the arc that happened, it was, decades and decades of work where some of that would fall off, the intent, that you speak about when you talk about ego in the book. Huh? But let's talk about grace. Tell me how that comes into this idea that we have an opportunity to change, right?
I see grace. Of course, grace is a religious word. It means a gift from God to have more wisdom, more courage, more ability to handle what happens. And it also refers to a special gift from the Holy Spirit that gives you more faith, hope, and love. But grace can also mean the gift dimension of the universe, so that I start to notice that the changes that are happening in me can't be accounted for just by my practices, that there's some gift dimension that's kicking in and helping me evolve a little faster than I ordinarily would, have more wisdom and understanding that I can be accounted for by my IQ, that suddenly I said just the right thing, or suddenly I just did something that I wouldn't ordinarily do, that shows me having more courage than I ever thought I had. Those moments I call moments of grace. So when I said to Buddha, I make this vow, that was a grace. I didn't make it happen. I didn't cause it. It just, it came as an opportunity and I said yes to it. That's how grace works. It's an opportunity. You can say no or yes.
I don't think so. I don't think you could have said no in that moment. I mean,
I couldn't in that moment, no.
So, yeah.
I would be, missing a big opportunity to have a life change.
Even below that, just the intuitive trust thing that comes upon us when we know something's right. Yeah. I am sure that must have happened with you. That happened. The first person that happened with me as a teacher was Ram Dass, and I innately trusted what he was saying, and that it wasn't about him. The me was not there in that moment, and that.
Yeah, I've been to a number of his talks, and I really enjoyed them. And of course, my first introduction to spirituality from the point of view of, non-religious sources was his wonderful book, Be Here Now.
Yeah. For all of us. I actually was there before there was a Be Here Now, but it was the same Be Here Now. I mean, Be Here Now comes from his just hanging out with people or giving talks or whatever. Yeah. Oh, now another thing when grace, back to grace. Yeah, I guess it's a difficult word for, especially for. Well, that's not true. I think it's a difficult word for people who've gotten on the path and have more or less devoted themselves to Eastern thought, right? We left Christianity and Judaism and so on. But they thought they were leaving grace behind, or we, maybe, but not true. This is a big part. I mean, especially, of course, with Hindus and somewhat so, Tibetan Buddhists, for instance. And that you say we have accessed courage or wisdom that we have not had before. We did not have before. We felt involuntarily called, prompted, and activated. These are examples of grace, the gift moments in life, which you had that way. I mean, you had that. You had the perfect thing standing right in front of the statue of Buddha, right?
Yeah, that grace came through me. I didn't make anything happen.
And you had no idea.
Also, I do want to make it clear that the word grace, one of my books is called The Power of Grace.
Oh.
And when I was doing the research for it, of course, I asked the question, well, how about grace in Buddhism? And sure enough,
Oh, yeah?
it does exist. Here's a simple example in the in Shanti Deva's The Way of the Bodhisattva. By what coincidence did I find this wonderful path? See, a coincidence, a synchronicity is the main archetype of grace. It's the main way grace happens. In fact, miracles are examples of synchronicity. Just at the moment when you had enough faith to believe you could be healed, you were healed. That's synchronicity, a coincidence of two events that lead to a healing or to some bigger orbit to find yourself in. Buddhism does include grace, and so do all the religions.
Yeah. But
Christianity has a different kind of grace that it seems like you only find it there, but not even that is true. That is, if you attend certain rituals and participate in certain religious practices, you will automatically receive some kind of grace. But even that is true in Buddhism, because if you go to a Dharma talk by a truly enlightened teacher, it's considered a transmission of Buddha's wisdom. A transmission is a grace. It's something given to you that you didn't make happen.
Yeah. I guess where it falls down is it's obviously through the institution or through even the teacher, is the reality of transactional behavior.
Yeah, it's not a transaction. Grace is totally free. It's not based on merit, effort, or practice.
Yeah, well, we didn't grow up like that.
We weren't taught that
right?
Before. Right. But that's how I see it. And it's something to be thankful for.
Grace? To say the least. I'll tell you a story really quickly that it really exemplifies this. I've told this 1,000,000 times on these podcasts, and I've been doing them for years. But I'll just get down to the real basic. I had a hard time with my father in my life. My brother and I are in India with Neem Karoli Baba and writing, oh, look, so great here. Of course, we were writing to get money and stuff. And next thing we know, we get a letter, okay, I'm coming, I'm going to come. And then we like, what? You know, anyhow, he came and he sat down in front of Neem Karoli Baba, and who said to me, did you give him the medicine? And I said, yeah, he had a cold. I gave him some medicine. He says, nay, yogi medicine Ram Dass gave him. So yeah, I'm sure you have heard of that story where he was given LSD. And my father, I was like a little bit shocked, but my father was really shocked, okay, 50-odd-year-old businessman. We didn't get along for all these years. And he was PTSD'd from the war, Second World War, bomber pilot, blah, blah. And he actually went and took the acid in Benares. We took him to Benares, and then Maharaji said, well, bring him back here. And we went back there, and he was told a bunch of stuff that nobody could possibly know about his life. And from that day on, our relationship completely changed. Yeah, we still got into it from time to time. That's grace. I mean, that's probably the hugest grace moment I had in my life, because it changed the family dynamic, you know. So very fortunate that way.
And everybody can receive the grace of giving up retaliation.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, as you say, as long as we're retaliating, we're not loving anybody. You know, and that goes back to...
we're just fluffing up our ego.
Yeah. Let me talk about one thing. I don't know if you directly talk about it in the book, but righteousness. Doesn't that make it so stuck in the mud about retaliate? You're right to want to retaliate. Righteousness, which is the...
righteous anger.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Well, not even anger. I mean, you could be sitting there peacefully and not necessarily, getting your blood boiling, but I'm right, no one else is right in this situation.
That's ego, of course.
Yeah.
Which has to be right, which has to be on top, which has to be first, which can't be in any way, even given feedback that there's something that might not be quite right.
Yeah.
That's the nature of ego. And of course, we also have a positive ego, which helps us fulfill our goals in life. That's the ego we want to build up. This other ego is a mindset that all of us have built up over the years. And its main purpose is to make sure that we won't love. There's a big part of us that has that as its purpose. I want to make sure I never really get close to anyone, because that means I'll be vulnerable. And I've got to continue wearing this armor to protect myself. And the ego is the result of that kind of project, the project of self-protection. You can't let go of retaliation if you're still trying to protect yourself.
Yeah. Talk about something, actually, I did really know this word, requital and retaliation. I think there's something really good to dig in on that. I think can help everyone. What is requital? Start there, yeah.
The word to requite or requital means to give same for same. So if someone does something good for you, you do something good for them. It's a quid pro quo. If somebody does something hurtful to you, then you have a right to hurt them. So requital includes both positive and negative, whereas revenge or retaliation only refers to the negative. If a person was really involved in quid pro quo, he, she, they would not only retaliate, but they would even make sure they do a good deed to the one who did a good deed for them. I mean, if you were logical, quid pro quo should go in both directions.
Yeah.
I'm going to requite you for the donation you made by sending you a T-shirt. That's requiting.
On a more
but
positive.
If you're not going to make a contribution to our program, and I'm going to find some way to cast aspersions on your program, that's retaliation.
Or send you email after email continuing to bug you.
Yeah, well, that would be an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, we're born with the automatic orientation to be nice to people who are nice to us and not so nice to people who aren't nice to us. That's why, since we're born that way, and it goes all the way back to our cave people ancestry, that's why it wouldn't be enough if you wanted to become a full human to rely only on what you came in with built in to your psyche. In order to become a full human being, you have to have spiritually enlightened teachers who show you an alternative. So that's why it has to be Buddha, Christ, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
If you want to have the full experience of being human, you have to bring them in. I find that a very fascinating realization. They're not just unusual people who came along with an unusual message. They're the ones who make it possible for you to have the full expression of the wonderful love, wisdom, and courage that's in you. All you have to do is imitate them or do their practices, follow their teachings. That's all it takes. Without them, we'd have Genghis Khan living, Vikings living.
Well, we do have a Genghis Khan living right now, so
I agree.
But this is what Ram Dass was all about. And he got that because he got that after he met his guru, and he was inspired to share it. That inspiration to share is what we've been doing with him while he was in Maui, and since he passed, is sharing that inspiration, basically. And that's what you're saying. Through all different... Ram Dass was great because he was multi-spiritual, shall we say. Even though...
I agree.
And we come from this supposedly bhakti yoga tradition, right? Yoga of devotion, yoga of the heart. But we were brought into Buddhism alongside of that back in that day. and that has persevered throughout everything that he's done and that we've done through all these decades. So it's a wonderful. I mean, I always say this. I don't, there's no statement about it, but discriminating mind mixed with loving heart, and you even talk about it yourself in the book. Yeah, loving kindness. You put. Yeah. Anyhow, yes, I am at one with what you just said for sure.
Yeah, like I think I start off my book. I don't remember exactly, but my other book called By Your Side, which is about the importance of having assisting forces around us who help us and we help others, of which Round Us is a wonderful example. I gave the quote, we're all just holding hands, walking each other home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, we need that. We need a hand to hold as we walk home. Home being the fulfilling the full potential of what it means to be a human who has integrity and loving kindness. And, he helps us get there along with the other teachers. And you and I are doing the same thing right this minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is not, also, I can say, this is not this idea of sharing the good news that you found for yourself. This is not out of nowhere, all the way back. Aristotle, Greek philosopher, tutor of Alexander the Great, said, goodness can't help but share itself.
I don't know that quote.
He noticed that. That if you have something wonderful in you, you just want to tell everybody about it. Like, go tell it on the mountain.
Yeah.
And that's what the Bible is about, I guess. It's giving you what the writers considered their good news.
Yeah. And of course, coming through minds, it always has a little suspect here and there. I personally experienced it being live with Neem Karoli Baba, who did not speak English, although he had access to whatever. We knew that. But the people who would translate would sanitize it along the lines of what the proper dharmic posture would be. And that was not Neem Karoli Baba. I mean, he used foul language. He said one thing one time that was way different than another. There was not black or white going on here. And, this happens throughout history. This is what, people, especially in this particular case, there was no books, there was no talks, there was no nothing. There was our diaries and other people's recollections of experiences. And, one thing we should talk about, David, before we're done here, and that's about the kind of revenge that you refer to when it's related to ethnic groups and how the big we, dehumanize others according to color, sexual orientation, gender, all of that, economic status, or religion. And talk about that, because that is so... this is nothing new. This has been going on, thousands of years, really. But here we are in somewhat supposedly enlightened society. And yet you can see this, the way that, people who just happen to look differently or speak differently or whatever are dehumanized. And you can take it into the smallest examples of just going into a public place and watching your thoughts, coming from fear bias or whatever in whatever situation. So yeah, talk about that.
Well, first of all, I would use the word xenophobia. The phobia is the Greek word for fear, and the Z-E-N means stranger, fear of strangers, fear of something different, fear that something will upset your house of cards, the little world you've created for yourself with all the people who look like you. And if they don't look like you, then they're somehow dangerous. It's all part of our, what I mentioned before, which is the part of us that wants to make sure that love does not happen fully. So I can't love someone who's really different is the same as I have to make sure that I look down on them, see them as somehow wrong, bad, inadequate, less than I am, so that I can keep them separate. And separateness is yet another one of ego's favorite sports. And it makes retaliation a total go-to. So that's the connection I see. And it's certainly sad to see. But we all notice it in ourselves one way or another.
Yeah. Which is tough,
I was going to a protest once, and
yeah.
I heard a wonderful quote from the Dalai Lama. I mean, he said, when you go to a protest, you have to care as much about the successful outcome of the protests as you do about the conversion of the people that you're protesting against. You have to love the ones you're protesting against as much as you love the ones you're protesting with. Yeah. I thought to myself, wow, that's a tall order. But that's what this is all about. These are tall orders.
Yeah. They're going to say, and it's a lifetime of work. And it's a matter of having enough mindfulness so that you can see we are all that one, that interconnectivity is real, even if we're day to day not realizing that. What about love and revenge in intimate relationships is one of the chapter headings. Yeah, talk about that. I mean, because we've been talking in sort of a little bit more of a general way in terms of revenge, retaliation, and so on. But I'm thinking of more speaking to the subtle ways that we act in relation to our family, spouse, the most intimate relationships that we have. Yeah, talk about that a little bit. I think, people, it would be really great to, because this is such a common thing. And righteousness, in my mind, comes into this more often than not, huh? I'm right.
And it's sometimes hard to notice all the ways that we are still trying to get back at our parents or our other family members. And we're really expert at hiding what retaliation is all about.
Experts, yeah.
Yeah. You see, the cause of retaliation is the avoidance of grief.
Uh-huh.
So take this line from Shakespeare, which is in the book. The hope of revenge shall hide our inward woe. Woe in his day meant grief.
Yeah.
As long as I can get revenge, I won't have to feel my grief. We have a lot of grief regarding our family members. They didn't love us as we believe we deserve to be loved. They didn't care for us the way we really wanted them to care for us. They didn't appreciate us, pay attention to us, and so forth, the way we secretly demanded. And that will automatically create a desire somehow to do something that gets back at them instead of having to say straight out, you know, it was disappointing when you didn't come through for me in childhood. I want you to know that hurt, but I want to somehow put it out there and work it out with you. Instead of doing that, we do things that get on their nerves. That's a form of retaliating. We do the opposite of what they know they want us to do. We don't show up when we're supposed to, whatever. These are all little ways to retaliate.
Or harboring, right? Just harboring dark
Or harboring
thoughts.
resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you have one, there's one, I love this particular thing you bring up, gracious forbearance, right? It's defined as restraining oneself from a normal or customary aggressive reaction, retribution when you're provoked by anger, about unfairness or offensive treatment. Gracious forbearance. I love that, Dave. That's great. Just maybe...
That's a Buddhist phrase.
Yeah. Just, unpack that a little bit.
Well, it's not that you put up with any abuse. It's that you don't catch people on every little thing they do that's offensive. And family members do that. They know exactly which buttons to press. One of my books is called Triggers. They trigger us into anger, fear, resentment, and they may not even intend to do it, but it just happens. And our go-to as we get healthier is, wait, let's look at this and let me say ouch here, and let me get with you in a dialogue so we can work something out.
Yeah.
We forget that angle.
I think it really helps, and now you've been practicing Buddhism for a long time, to create through meditation and mindfulness enough, shall we say, enough spaciousness gets created so that trigger doesn't immediately overwhelm you. I mean, that's one big thing that comes out of long-term practice. And so to just think about it, I like the forbearance and the way the Buddhists put that, something I was not that familiar with. I think it's big. It's something you can really work with. You can even take that word and work with that word in relation to knowing, for instance, you're going to have a talk with a sibling, a wife, a husband, or whatever it may be. Carry that in your brain. That might be a, huh? I like that. Now, we're at the end here. But I have to. I love you quoted Hannah Arendt in the book, right? And she, just a little bit about who she is, Dave.
She's a wonderful writer, and she attended the trial of Adolf Eichmann, and she wrote a book about it, which I read as part of my research. And she points out that revenge is a repetition, whereas forgiveness is something new. And that when you forgive, you're not just copycatting the person who offended you. You are being creative. You're coming up with a whole different kind of response. And my way of seeing forgiveness is it's not excusing something, of course. It's letting go of ill will, resentment, and the need to retaliate. When you let go of those three, which are all three of which are a Buddhist practice to free yourself from the second poison. The first is greed, the second is hate, the third is ignorance. And when you forgive, you are opening the path to enlightenment. Anyway, she helped me see things in that way. And she also talks about the banality of evil.
Evil, yeah.
That sometimes there's evil going on in the society, and you just don't even notice it because it's become second nature, and it's just, the way it all happens. It's just become ordinary.
Yeah,
that's the opposite of what we want.
Yeah. So there's something, I want to end this, Dave, with something I believe you were, this is a quote from Father Pedro Arupe, SG, former head of the Jesuit order, in an address. And just to take part, this is around evil. Evil is overcome only by, this could be Reverend King as well, Evil is overcome only by good, hate by love, egoism by generosity. It is thus that we must sow justice in our world. To be just, it is not enough to refrain from injustice. One must go further and refuse to play its game, substituting love for self-interest as the driving force of society. That got it all right there, I think.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for quoting that.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, great to have you. Get to know you a little bit.
Well, thank you, Raghu.
It's wonderful. Everybody.
I enjoyed this conversation very much.
Good. And we're going to have in the show notes, we'll get certainly this book by David, Sweeter Than
Yeah, and maybe
Revenge.
you can mention my website.
I
have it there.
You're going to send it all to me, and we're going to put it in the show notes. All of the links and so on and so forth. Anything else you can think of, for that matter. So everybody will be BeHereNowNetwork.com/mindrolling, and everything that you need to connect with David. Do you still accept new patients and so on, Dave?
No, I'm retired.
Oh, you are.
So I just have one link. That's DaveRicho.com. And that will show you the book and talks and so forth.
Okay. Well, we'll put it out there. And again, thank you for being here. And
thank you, Raghu. Appreciate it.
We'll keep you in touch, everybody. Go to BeHereNowNetwork.com/mindrolling or Be Here Now Network. And Ram Dass is there, and Alan Watts, and Krishnamurti. You remember the Krishnamurti?
Yes, I went to his talks in Ojai.
Oh, really? That's where I am now.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. And again, thank you, David. Thank you.
Thank you.